Welcome to the Rocket Launcher Podcast. I am your host, Supreme King. Join with me, as always, is my co-host, and his name is...
It's your guy Omazes.
My bad, I forgot to say, I believe this is episode 175. And we took about, I believe, 2 weeks of a hiatus. I had some stuff going on. My co-host had some stuff going on. I think somewhere in the middle of that was WrestleMania. And then we went out and got some steaks, some quality steaks at a nice little restaurant. And now we back, and I'm actually excited about this point in the year when it comes to gaming, because we're getting close to the gaming's quote unquote, Super Bowl, WrestleMania, the playoffs, whatever, because usually at the start of June, we have like a billion different shows. Only 2/3 of it is usually quality. The other third is like, well, maybe 1/3 is quality. The other 2/3 is not, but we usually get a whole bunch of gaming shows. We get a bunch of just random cool stuff to hype you for the last part of the year. And then we just, buy a whole bunch of stuff closer to the holiday season, right? But we're in the start of that. I actually wanted to kick it off by actually just quickly running through the game releases for May. I just wanted to do that real quick because I think it sets up for the next topic, but I'm gonna do that real quick. So May, we're actually at the 3rd of May as of this recording, and then a lot of stuff comes out like right after that. I think it was only one game that I see here that came out, or at least it has a May release date. Mars Tactics. The only thing that doesn't have a number for the release date, but everything else comes out after this show. So a couple things. So on May 7th, there's a game that's going to come out by the name of Mixtape. I'm very used to mixtapes being mixtapes as far as music, but never a game called Mixtape. So somebody check that out if you are so interested. That game that was catching a lot of people's attention just based off the trailer, Directive 8020, is coming out quicker than people may have expected. So this is coming out May 12th, 2026. It's a space type game. Go check that out on YouTube. Call of the Elder Gods, also on May 12th. I don't know too much about it, but I think I've seen the trailer a couple times. Dark Light Survivor, that comes out May 14th. It's got a cool little, profile pic. Subnautica 2, I think that one's a bigger name that people recognize. That's also May 14th. Farming Simulator 26. There's a title people might remember. May 19th, 2026 is when that comes out. Also on the same day, we got a nice big release of Forza Horizon 6. That's a really big release there. Forza Horizon 6 on May 19th. Deep Rock Galactica Rogue Core. That's going to be on May 20th, 2026. I actually know somebody who plays Deep Rock Galactica on Steam a lot, and I think he may have talked me into buying it when it was cheap. Coffee Talk Tokyo, May 21st, 2026. It looks like one of those cozy games out there for the ladies, if you are so interested. Another big name here that people might care about, Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. I think this might be a Switch 2 exclusive. We all know who Yoshi is. This is May 21st, 2026. Go check that out if you are into Yoshi on the Nintendo platform. And then May 22nd, another big release. That's Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. Pretty big name there for a lot of people who was anticipating that game. And then towards the end of the month, we could finish it off with a couple more releases. May 27th, 2026 is 007 First Light. That's finally coming out. We're finally here for that. And then the final game that I show, which I actually did not even know about until now, Nickelodeon Extreme Tennis next. You know, we got some Mario Tennis Fever footage coming up soon in this podcast, and you know, Nickelodeon may have looked at it and said, "Listen, y'all gonna have some competition. We gonna release our tennis game too." I might have to check that one out, man. Tennis games is what's popping, but
they ain't even advertised it, so
I mean,
I don't really trust
they
it.
don't even got to, man. It's just that good.
Oh, okay.
You ever see those shadow drops, man? They just that good. It's just like
But like, you still have to announce a shadow drop that it's like, you know, it's out today.
Hey, well,
I haven't heard anything about this.
Y'all heard it here first. You know, we like the tennis games around here. But yeah, man, there you have it. Any of these is the day one buy? What you looking at? The Yoshi one? You gonna get the Yoshi in the Mysterious Book? Yes, no. Yes.
But looking forward to like Directive 8020, 007. You don't hear me?
You faded out for a second. I know you was a little excited about the Yoshi game, but yeah, what you say?
Yeah, sure. No, I said Directive 8020, 007, Batman. Those are the main three.
Hey, listen, man. I might have to cop the Nickelodeon or the tennis game. That might be the day one. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying. Listen, tennis
You
is
do
out
that.
here killing
Not
the
for
game.
me. Yeah, you go right ahead.
But speaking of big releases, we could switch gears because there's a big release that comes out May 4th. As of this recording, that is going to be tomorrow, and it seems like the internet is starting to go wild over this thing. But that is the Steam controller. Apparently, a lot of people got their hands on this to do some reviews, some quick thoughts. But it's finally out there. The first piece of the puzzle, I'm pretty sure everybody else, including me, is more into the system itself and the headset, but they decided to release this controller early. I do think the quote unquote leak information about it a week or two beforehand was kind of a controlled marketing kind of thing, because ain't no way it was a leak and then all of a sudden everybody's got it to review it and it comes out tomorrow. It's like, that's just tactics when it comes to these companies and stuff. But the Steam controller is $99. It has 35 plus hours of battery life on a single charge, which I actually think is very good. It will include a USB cable and also a new type of charging device, a little magnetic charger thing that just kind of clamps on the back of it. You can sit it down on it. That's a unique thing that is making this stand out. Like I said, it comes out tomorrow. I will say, from some of the info that I've seen, the firmware around it, the software is still relatively in its 1.0 stage. It's not that it's bad, it's just certain things. It has some of the same notable issues that you probably would have seen if you had the Steam Deck and you were playing with like a different type of controller, which might just be a Steam software thing. But from people reviewing, and I can go off of my own experience with my controllers and stuff, which probably just relates to just the Steam software. If you hit the middle button So for this controller, it's the Steam button. If it's the Xbox controller, it's the Xbox button. So on and so on. It will bring up the Steam menu, but if you're on a regular PC, it kind of defaults you to either the big picture mode or to the desktop or whatever it is that the device you're on. Where really they want you to just default to be in the menu within Steam itself. And that seems to be just a disconnect there based on the software. I had that issues on the Rogue Ally the most with my controller. And I think with a lot of people when they were reviewing this stuff, they were talking about it as if it's the controller's fault. I don't think it's the controller's fault per se. I think it's the software. Because I think if you pick up your controller, any controller, you hit that middle button, it's not going to take you directly where you think you would want to go if you are mainly a console player. But other than that, a lot of people seem to like it. Some people are looking at it as if they're having some irritations if they're having long-term play, just based on the molding of the controller and how the sticks are centered, which I kind of already expect. That was just kind of like, of course it was going to have issues if you just look at how it was shaped. But overall though, if you are playing the 2D type games that require you mainly to just use the D-pad and the buttons, your fingers don't really got to go too far over into the middle, and it just kind of lays right there on the side. It feels natural. You just play it and it looks like it's fine when it comes to that. For myself, I may not ever use the trackpad. I never use the trackpad on the Steam Deck, so that I don't see how I would have any use on that. But for anybody else, you have a trackpad. And yeah, the Steam controller, man, comes out tomorrow. What are your thoughts on this thing?
Hope people enjoy it. I'm still not gonna get it. Like, I don't like the way it looks. I'm fine with using an Xbox controller for PC. So, whoever wants it, more power to you. Hope it works out. Also interested to see how long it takes before there's a version 2.
Well, the last version was 2015, right? And if I'm not mistaken, the thing that had like the main parts of it be the trackpad, and it only had one control stick, and it almost looked like a thing where something gouged his eyes out, and it's just left with the sockets. That's how it kind of looked, because of how it was shaped. It was curved in a little bit, like it was just looked like it was missing an eyeball. That's just how it looked to me. But yeah, the last one was 2015, so I don't think it would take them 10 years for the next thing. But if anything, this thing is already attempting to be a pro controller, so I don't know how much more pro it can get. But they do say it has the gyro in it. It has haptic feedback in it. The sticks itself is supposed to be the type of technology where you shouldn't get Joy-Con drift, which goes without saying at this point. So at least they paid attention there. Most PC type controllers are already kind of at that standard. It's really the console controllers that we got to worry about. It has the back buttons, 2 sets of back buttons, which is the main things that people want when it comes to a pro controller. Now, from what I could see though, you can't adjust tensions on the joysticks, and you can't adjust triggers from what I can see. So you're just going to have the main trigger. So maybe that might be the next thing that they might do at some point if they really want something a little bit more pro. But there are some companies already attempting to create accessories for it. Face plates is another thing I've seen. So it'll be customizable at some point, but right now it's just the standard black controller. Here it is. It is interesting that it's being released now ahead of the system itself. Because if anything, I would want to experience that as a package if I really cared about it. Like, I don't know, coming from a console, if somebody's coming from a console, and they have no PC experience whatsoever, I kind of would recommend this for them, because from the console's perspective, if you think of the time frame of, let's say, PlayStation 1, N64, Dreamcast, which was a little bit late, and then afterwards, the Xbox One original. Like, games came out on these systems, but when you got these systems, they had like probably some of the most unique controllers ever, right? And that was just a part of its experience. If you, I would recommend it to somebody who doesn't have any PC experience, because they're going into it from a console perspective, and this will add to their experience that's different from what they already have, in my opinion. Another generation I could think of is like the Wii generation. That made like everybody's parent a gamer for like one generation only, and then it just stopped. Because they were all wanting to play those Wii Sports things, which had those original Joy-Cons, or whatever they called it, the Wave Bird and the whatever it was called. So that adds to their unique experience. I think for anybody who doesn't have any PC experience, at least you get something different. As we go on in the topics here, also caution yourself a little bit, because we're in the hype of a PC release, right? Here's the controller for it. But from our understanding, the two major players might be pulling away from PC, period. That's been the news as of late. But still, you're going to PC for a PC experience, right? So if anything, you're trying to play a lot of these obscure looking 2D games that come from all of these shows that just pop up out of nowhere. This box will probably be the box for it with this controller, right? Any thoughts at all? Any other thoughts to add to this at all?
Nothing to add. Nah.
I tried to watch a bunch of videos on this and stuff, but it was a controller video, right? It was just like people were just kind of playing with a controller. Like, it has the hype because it's Steam, but that was really the gist of it. It kind of tells me one thing. I think when the Steam machine finally gets a release date, an announcement, it's probably going to have a SKU where you could just buy the machine itself without the controller. Because I don't see them saying, here's the controller first, and then the next time you buy this, you got to buy the controller with it again. There might be a way for them to at least attempt to make it look like the cost is down by separating it. So the people who wanted it, you bought the $100 controller now, and then the system is $100 cheaper because it doesn't come with the controller later. And then there's the people who just opt into just playing with the Xbox controller. That was my initial thought process when I got the Elite controller, was to play with the Elite controller on the Steam machine. I'm still kind of in that mindset, just play with my Elite controller, and then I still have like a lot of Xbox controllers actually. So it'll be interesting to see where they price the Steam machine finally. But I'm willing to bet 99% that there will be a version of it that doesn't have the controller. I still want to see the Steam Frame, which is the headset, and see what that's about. We hadn't really had any more news on that really at all. It's really been the focus is on the Steam machine and now the controller, but I still would like to see some news on that. But I guess before we move on, man, any thoughts or predictions on where you think they're going to finally price the Steam machine? Because it's got to come out this year. If they're going to, ain't no way you got this this controller and then the machine itself just doesn't come out for another year. That would be silly. So
yeah, I'm gonna throw it at, I think, 800.
I think the $800 model might be the without the controller model.
Yeah, that's what I mean. because then most people are going to try and buy it and is going to have the controller with it, so they can do 900. So with taxes under 1,000.
Yeah, I actually think there's going to be more of a gap there, though. Even though the with the controller is only supposed to be $100 more, I think they're going to say something slick like this version has more memory or something. I think they're going to do something because the companies are always slick to sucker you in. But yeah, that's where I think they're going to be. We can move forward. The next thing I do actually have on my agenda, funny enough, is to talk about the Sony PlayStation DRM thing that was kind of announced last week, but we weren't here to talk about it. But it seems like since then they attempted to kind of moonwalk this a little bit due to some backlash, but didn't moonwalk it all the way. But to start off, initially they had came to the conclusion that they were going to do a DRM check on your system, I believe every 30 days. It was going to check your age, I guess. and then also check if your game that you're trying to play is authentic, if your system is authentic, if you messed with it in any way, I guess. And so when I was looking around, I had in my notes that it was mentioned that this was to prevent refund scams. Apparently, I think that's what someone noted on one of the reputable websites, and I can't think of who just said it at this point. But it wasn't just piracy, I guess. It was just for people trying to refund a bunch. I don't know what the scam is on that, but I guess maybe.
Well, you buy it, I guess what they're looking at is you buy it, you nonstop play for 3 days, and then you just be like, I don't want this anymore, and get your money back. So basically turned it into a demo.
I didn't know that was a thing that people do, but that I could see that.
Well, that's why, because they're also super strict on their return policy, so I'm not sure how, I don't know if they have an automatic, if you request a refund by claiming something to be broken, within the first few day or so. But I thought they had really strict, we only refund under these circumstances.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure where that super concern is coming in. But it just is something what people do to stop that from happening. But I don't feel like that's a widespread issue on PlayStation.
I know on Steam they have the policy where if you've played the game for less than 2 hours, you can get a full refund. And I think people seem to like that. I don't think they had an issue with that. And then for PlayStation, it was always known that they were the strictest. So it doesn't surprise me that they would try to do something else like this. But the problem with that to me is that I still believe this is maybe 1% of the incels or something. It cannot be your full fan base for you to make a decision like that and to make everybody turn on you overnight for another thing. As a company, we've always had the issues when it came to DRM because it would always interfere with the gameplay. People have noted, especially on places like Nintendo, where they would have drops of frames and stuff like that, and it wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for the DRM. Yeah. And so at the end of the day, it's another way of somewhat punishing the legit player because of someone who's not legit. And the non-legit person isn't really trying to do this on the system. They usually extract the data as much as they can and put it on PC. That's usually what they do. And at this stage in the game too, a lot of games had a PC version anyway. And so I don't know where they were getting at with this. This couldn't have been that many people, but so at the end of the day, within from a week of this being announced to the next week, they changed it up to saying, well, you only need to have a DRM check one time, and then that's it. for all digital games apparently.
Yeah. What somebody was saying, I don't know how true this is because it could have been just somebody trying to defend Sony, but from my
Mhm.
understanding, it was a bad translation. Like apparently they always meant the one-time check of like after 30 days. It's just the way he said it made it sound
Mhm.
like it was a continual 30-day check. Like someone was like, you get the game and after like in 30 days we do an online check. Not saying we do an online check for that specific thing after the 30-day purchase. It made it come off as they check every 30 days like overall. But again,
Mhm.
this could have been just someone defending it after the edit. um but even so, still, yeah, it's the you get it and then after 30 days they got to check to make sure it was you that purchased it or something. I don't know.
I remember saying a while back that it comes off a little silly to complain about it because when you have to complain about it, you have to go on the internet to complain, which kind of makes it redundant a little bit. So it's like,
Yeah.
for you, it's not for you. It might have lasted maybe 60 seconds. However, I have experiences in the past where it has affected me. Unfortunately, that's how we always learn, right? When it affects us. But if you have a situation where you might have had a power outage or something in your area, or it might just be the internet that's out, and it's just in
Yeah.
your area because they're doing some sort of construction or something, then
Yep.
it's out, right?
I've
Um,
fallen under that before where they were just like doing stuff. Mine
mhm.
was even minor. I had one where I think some squirrel or something chewed the wire when I was living in an apartment.
Yeah, yeah.
Like my internet was just out for the weekend, and it was like PS4, and I couldn't access like a good chunk of my stuff because it required you to be online. Because it was like apparently I was doing like a little share thing with a friend, so my
Oh, so they
PlayStation
stopping
wasn't
you?
registered.
Uh huh.
Yeah, my PlayStation wasn't registered as my primary uh PlayStation. So because of that, it was like, yeah, you don't get to access like a lot of the games that you had. Like it had to be specifically disc based so they can read it that way.
Hmm.
But yeah, I just had no internet for the weekend. That was a whole mess too, with trying to get that like back on. But there's been other times where it's just like internet's down, and it's like I don't do the like I don't have the share thing anymore. Mine is mine. But like I'll be like internet's down, and it's just like boom. Now can you access your stuff if they can't check?
One of the games that was supposed to be a main game for me was Persona 4 Golden on Steam. I actually have it, I believe, on my Steam Deck. For whatever reason, because even when I purchased the game, it was $12. It's an old game. It's originally on either the Vita or 3DS, one of them, because that's how it looks, right? Um, when my internet was out, I was still like the game was still on my device, and I had the ability to play it. And it just so happened to be one of those things where I didn't have it on for a week. Um, and I couldn't, I literally would turn it on and it would not play. And it's like, it's my game that I bought, a $12 game, and it just don't work. And I had to literally take it to a library down the street just to get through on the internet, then to take it back home. And I actually thought that that was ridiculous and egregious. But it has a check where it has to check once a week. And they just left it like that indefinitely. And that game's old. You know what I mean? And I think I ultimately put it down for a while for that reason. One, it was one of those you know how Persona is. It's like a really long game, but if you're
Mm-hmm.
really into it and it's really long and then something like that happens that literally stops you, like that could set you off. And it set me off.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it was like that type of thing where the construction was being done, it just was lined up perfectly just to screw me, because it would be an off day for me, and then I would have that, and then I literally can't play the game that I want to play on my off day based on these circumstances that I have nothing to do with, and I've paid whatever bill I needed to pay and bought whatever game I needed to buy. So to me that was ridiculous, and now I can kind of understand, guilty enough, where these other people are coming from, because I don't want to check on the internet. I just want to play the game. It should be fixed from the get-go, right? It should have all of its patches from the beginning, day one. And then from there I should just simply play it. I don't care if it's like what the game is on the screen, just like a little old tennis game. Like, you're telling me I literally can't play my title, my game that I bought. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I kind of understand it. The one-time check is also still silly to me. It's like, homie, if these are the people who got hacked, didn't they just get hacked from a kid the last time? 17, 18, 19-year-old or something. They said they had a Roku device. Yeah. A Roku device inside of they was inside of a hotel with a Roku device. They was talking about we might give him life in prison or something, and he's like, as soon as I get out, I'm gonna do it again. Like, this is just silly. It's not my fault you have a degenerate or something who's gonna do something like that, and y'all should really work on your security too. Because how does the degenerate get a Roku device? Like, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Like, what did he do with this Roku device to hack a $1 billion company? How? And he's a child, so I don't even know. So some of that is silly. It's like, if you was gonna have a loss, you was gonna catch a loss regardless. They caught losses to begin with. That's why they moved their titles to PC to begin with, right? So it's like you weren't gonna make the money you thought you was gonna make regardless. You was gonna catch a loss regardless, because you are a big company. All big companies are too big for their own good, and they catch losses. It is what it is. There's nothing around it. Weather the storm like any other company. Anything else, or do you want to move on?
No, we can move on.
All right. I do want to go to the middle of the road real quick, where we literally talk about Epic Games, who never pays us for our long-winded unofficial sponsorship. But I like to point them out just because they give out free stuff. I will admit they double and triple dip sometimes, because I think they did it this time as well. But they give out 2 games on average a week for free, and you can log in, create your own profile, and save all this stuff. And then if you didn't have a PC and you were waiting for one, once you get one and you log in, you can download a whole library of titles. I think I have over 400 titles now, where I only paid for less than 10 titles under the Epic platform. But for right now, until May 7th, which is right around the corner, you can get the game Firestone Online Idle RPG. And then you can also get the game Odd Sparks, an Automotion Adventure. That's available right now until May 7th. And then from May 7th to May 14th, you can get a game called Arranger, a role puzzling adventure. And then a game called Trash Goblin. Funny title. Trash Goblin. So that's all available from May 7th to May 14th. It's crazy we're this close into the year already. It's like, didn't we just start this year? But yeah, so those are the free games under Epic's. Any sales that we need to know about coming from Amazon?
Not yet. They haven't announced their new stuff yet, so I should have something next week.
Everybody buys off Amazon too, right? I have some packages coming, I'm sure. I will be surprised if something just appears today. But yeah, I think also within the news, I kind of want to just give some props to Capcom as a publisher. They seem to be really holding gaming together as of right now. Obviously, they had the big release of Resident Evil 9. That was a really, really big release in February. A lot of people was calling that a game of the year. And then the Pragmata game that I actually trashed at one point because we was waiting so long for it, is also a big release. And based off what I've played, I have to say, it wasn't trash. In my opinion, it wasn't trash. But that's also a big release. There are people who are calling that their game of the year. And these are both back-to-back releases from Capcom, really holding in, you know, filling in the void in gaming, I guess, for the first part of the year so far. And then, they also have other big projects. But yeah, shout out to them for those two games. And then I also want to mention with that, I did take a look at the Resident Evil teaser trailer
Yeah.
with I think a brand new character from what I was seeing. I'm not too familiar
Mm-hmm.
with him. The tone is way different than any of the other movies. It's not a joke like some of the adaptations of the past few years, and it's not like a Matrix style like action film
Yeah.
from all the years from before. It looks like they're taking it with a brand new approach. They didn't give away too many things when it comes to the zombie types, but you could tell it is your zombies, regular zombies, and they were presented in a more terrifying way from what I
Yeah.
was able to see. Any
So
thoughts?
yeah, it's hard for me not to be biased because I'm a big fan of Zach Kreger, the director for it.
Okay.
And he's had two really solid movies that's gotten a lot of praise. He had more than two that's been good, but the two that's gotten a lot of praise were Weapons and Barbarian. He did
Okay.
both of those. I trust him for Resident Evil. I know some people, of course, they're just like, I don't see like any characters I know, and they're ready to write it off already. Um, and I keep trying to, like it's not really, they don't have to do that. Basically, like you don't have to write it off. Um, I feel like I don't know. I've been, when we see adaptations where they're using the characters that we know from the last two, they weren't great from the TV series and from the last movie. So it's like if this is the case, I'd rather just be set in the same universe, but you can give me somebody new. I would like the idea that like those characters are established and doing their thing. What's happening to the other people that's like
Mm-hmm.
around? Like what's happening that causes Leon to have to show up to the city and things like that. But I fully trusted. I thought the trailer looked good. I was excited for it. I do see some people thinking it just looks like a really good zombie film that they slapped Resident Evil's name on, as I've seen. But again, it's
I
because
could see
people, for
that.
some
Yeah.
reason, they want to see, uh, like Leon and Chris and Claire and that. And I saw some people they want the ridiculousness. They feel like it should be the noodle armed zombies and things like that. But it was just like
Mm-hmm.
it was a 2 minute trailer. We don't know what's gonna happen yet. But I'm here
Um.
for it. I'll gladly defend it because I'm a big fan of the director.
I'm actually excited about the release because this comes out September 18th, 2026. So this is right around there in my birthday window. What also comes out around that time is Godzilla Minus Zero.
Hey,
Right in that week, I believe. So that'll be a jam-packed week. I actually want to go to the theaters for both of them, actually, around that time and just have some fun. And so I'm excited because of that. But at the same time, I can understand from being a possible long term Resident Evil fan, playing the mansions and stuff and the puzzles and stuff. It just doesn't come off like that. It doesn't come off as the action stuff either. It's just more brand new, right? And I'm not too opposed to it at all. The only thing, my only thing that I would want, if they don't stay true to anything else, they gotta have some sort of tyrant type thing, some super soldier thing to like stalk him. that's
yeah.
all,
Well,
that's
they
all
did
I would
show a
like to
glimpse
see.
at some like giant bloater looking thing in like a
Yeah,
sewer. So
yeah.
we'll see. Okay, so the thing that I want has nothing to do with Resident Evil.
Mm-hmm.
So there was this old sketch comedy show that Zach Kreger was a part of called The Whitest Kid You Know. And in Weapons, I haven't seen Barbarian yet, surprisingly. I don't know why I haven't seen it yet. But I know for sure in Weapons, there was like one scene where like a dude was making like lunch, like the principal of the school was making lunch for his husband, and he made 7 hot dogs.
Mm.
And that's a reference to a Whitest Kids You Know sketch that had a joke that had to do with like 7 hot dogs. So I'm interested to see in this movie if there's any other Whitest Kids You Know references in there.
Okay.
Uh,
But yeah, I do. I want to see that in September, and
I'm waiting for
also
my main thing
Godzilla.
in October.
What's that?
The Clayface movie.
Okay. Okay.
That comes out around my birthday, and that's gonna be a super just horror film, body horror, creepy. Uh, I'm here for it, and like as a quick side note because this is going away from the topics, but one of the things is I don't mind when the different like superhero stuff focus on the villain. What I don't fully like sometimes is when they try to make the villain so sympathetic that they're basically making them the hero. I think that was the issue with the Marvel or Sony Spider-Man
Hmm.
stuff, where like, they made the movie about Kraven where he was like hunting like poachers and like getting revenge for the jungle and everything. And I'm like, Kraven hunts people for sport. Like he wouldn't care about the poachers because he's a poacher. Like he hunts, he comes to Queens to hunt down Spider-Man because he heard of like, ooh, this thing that would be hard to hunt, right? Like, and you're making him the hero. Where something I think DC has done well with like the Penguin series is like you're rooting for him and then he does something terrible and you're reminded, oh yeah, he's a villain. So I'm excited to see what they do with Clayface as well for that.
Okay. So yeah,
Yeah, jam-packed September and October. I'm ready.
yeah, I haven't really been in the theater like that for a while, so it would be nice to kind of put that back in rotation maybe once a month.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, so cool,
Well, we
cool
gotta go
stuff.
see. You gotta go see Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter and He-Man.
Ugh, I guess.
No, you gotta go to
I
all of
guess.
them.
I guess it
Report
seemed
back.
very cheesy, but I don't know if those are theater quality things. Like I now something like that I would sit in the house with a crab boil and eat my food and it's just on because I've done that. Like I've made it a whole thing for a while, or just some food that I have never had, and I just got a variety of whatever their food is, and then I have that on. Like I could make it an event like that, but I don't know if we'll see. We'll see. But yeah. So that's pretty much all I have for as far as regular newses and stuff. Now, I did have a topic for you. You wanted to mention IGN's Mouse
Mm,
PI for Hire review. So what was
yeah.
going on with that?
So as I said before we went on break that I was going to look into Mouse PI for Hire, and it looks like a great game. It is your classic just boomer shooter game, just stylized as like a 30s cartoon where you're a mouse cop. Like that's the premise of it. But it's a boomer shooter game. Go. Well,
Hmm.
IGN did a review and kept grading it down, and they got tore apart online for this review. As IGN, it usually happens to them, but like this one in particular, it was bad. And I think the issue boils down to the person reviewing it because it said PI, like for private investigator.
Hmm.
He basically assumed it was going to be LA Noir, like that game, where you're doing a bunch of detective work. So he was complaining that when you go into a room, it was just filling with a bunch of enemies that you're supposed to shoot. You don't do a lot of detective work. They're constantly making old cartoon references, and they keep making cheese puns because it's mice.
Hmm.
And he was like, and also like you're supposed to be the detective, but you're doing a lot more shooting than the bad guys. Like, how are you not the villain of the town? And it's like, so you clearly didn't understand what this game was about, and you're marking it down because it's not what you thought it was gonna be. Like, they never even hinted that that's what it was going to be. It was very obviously a shooter like Doom, but stylized like a 30s cartoon. Like everyone understood that, and of course it makes cheese references. They're mice. They're all
Hmm.
mice. That's what they all care about. The main character, his name is Jack Pepper, which is a play on Pepper Jack cheese. Like, how did you not get that? So what people were mocking because he was saying too much cheese, goes back to when they released Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, where the person doing the review on that one of his cons for the game was that there was too much water. And it was like, what? And he was just, because it was a seaport town, so it was mostly water, but like the region that they were playing off of had to do with like very island-like region. So, and part of the joke too is because like they're like, he must be working for Team Magma, because their whole thing was like ridding the world of all like the water so the ground and fire Pokemon can thrive. And yeah, but that was his complaint. It's like, down, it was too much water. And it's like, excuse me? And people keep pointing out when they go like, we're giving this like a 5 out of 10 or something like that. And they're like, you gave Concord an 8. It's just like, they always bring up like older games that like were everyone trash. And they'll be like, you gave it an 8. And then you turn around and gave this a 6. And it was just like, yeah, you don't know. And everybody just says, so what happened was the creators from Mouse PI didn't pay you the IGN tax for giving them a good review. So you had to find something to complain about.
It also seemed odd, like when a YouTuber is like really fishing to get a review copy or something.
That too.
It's usually something that they have been following for a while and they're anticipating. But they're aware of what's going on a little bit. Sometimes when IGN just has, like, IGN is going to always get a review copy of something, right? Which is unfortunate, but they just don't seem to be aware sometimes of what what they're playing. The people that they have hired, sometimes they're so not in tune with gaming. It's just crazy. Like whenever we see a specific like gameplay from them, it looks like they don't even know how to play. Like they just picked up a controller completely brand new. And it'll be something that's basically a shooter where the controls are the same. It's just the game is a different game, and it looks like they never even played a shooter at all. I was someone who followed IGN when it was in its earliest days before they hired whoever they've been hiring in the last 10 plus years. But when we go really far back, I'm talking like the Game Facts days, when you're just looking for codes and looking for a quick strategy on something you already playing, like that was when I really followed them. I don't know what happened from Xbox 360 time till now. Like I don't know what happened. But
I feel like when you have this many people though, where it's not one person, clearly that's reviewing stuff. So if you have this many people that's reviewing it, it's like, how do you not have someone who's like a fan of shooters review the shooter? Like remember when I think what was it, Halo, where you could see the person never even hit the aim button?
Yeah.
It was complaining about how difficult the shooting was. And it was like, you didn't have a shooter. Like, I don't want a Call of Duty head, like somebody who's like heavy into Call of Duty, reviewing Pokemon. I also don't want someone who only plays Pokemon reviewing Call of Duty. Like, and then another thing is to mark a game down for things that they never even like promise. It would have been like if I marked down Claire Obscure and said it was a 6 out of 10 because I couldn't use motion controllers to make paintings myself. And it's like, because I saw that the game had paint in it, and I didn't get to paint. And also, there was a lot of music, like a little too much music. So I mark it down. And it's like, excuse me? Like, they never even hinted that you would be able to do that. Like, you just bought the wrong game.
I still don't understand why a lot of them, it feels like they don't game at all. Like it seems like some of them,
that's what it feels like.
It seems like you just grabbed somebody and just said, like, this is your job now.
Yep.
And then that's it. And then they're doing it because it's their job. Not like you would think it would be people who have got 20 plus years of gaming experience from being a child to now. And they follow a lot of franchises to now. That's another thing too. Like there'll be someone who from their reviews, you'll catch somebody every now and then who did that, but they have to overly explain their credibility sometimes in their review. I'll notice that as well. So that platform is still kind of shot, but
it is. And it's also, like I said, I can understand if your critique was like, they overload it with like cheese puns to the point where you're like, all right, I get it, stop. Like one of the critiques for High on Life, that game they had to do like a little dial thing to turn it down because it was like, if you're a fan of Justin Earl and like that Rick and Morty humor, but it was too much of it. Like it was like almost every single second was filled with some sort of joke where you're just like, okay, can you like just like stop for like a second, like stop talking, right? So like they had like a whole thing that you could turn down some of the frequency of constant comments and jokes. So it's like I get you can do that, but then they complained that the game had too much shooting in it, and it was like, well, it was a shooter. Like, why are you saying there's too much shooting in my shooter?
Yeah, silly.
Right? It's like, again, it's critiquing something when you clearly didn't even know what it was about. And you're mad that it wasn't what you thought it was going to be, even though they never promised it would be that.
Yeah. So, yeah, it is what it is. I don't really go to them that much. A lot of times, though, if I was to look at their review for something, it's to say to myself, what do the fake people think? That's literally the only time I would. And even then, I would skip to the end just to try to get the last couple of minutes of it.
Yeah. A lot of times I look at it just to see like gameplay footage. It's not even the fact that it's IGN, right? I'm just trying, like, I'm not even really listening to what they're saying. I'm just clicking through to see what some of the gameplay and graphics and stuff look like for the game. Like, sometimes if I don't know what the game is, it's like, is this a turn-based? Is this an 8-bit? Is it a platformer? All I'm really looking to see is just what the game looks like in playing. I'm not usually listening to them because I know they're all over the place on stuff. Or if I need a quick laugh, I'll read like why something I know terrible got an 8 or why something that was really good got a 6.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can move forward. I don't know what else I could say to this, but IGN to me lost credibility a really long time ago. They're just kind of there. But yeah, we can move forward. Now this is a topic that I find to be very interesting. And that is, I titled it Xbox Rebranding. A lot of interesting things have been happening in the past week. They've managed to really get a lot of hype behind them really overnight. But it's funny, we took 2 weeks off. So I want to say about 2 weeks ago, I was literally about to come on here and say, all right, the AI chick is really starting to sound like a politician to me.
Uh-oh.
You say you about to do this and you about to do that. Well, when you gonna do it? That was what I was about to say. But we had our time off, and in the middle of this time off, I gotta say, we actually saw some real changes actually happen. And I gotta give some credit to where credit is due. Not only to her, but I guess the full team over there to kind of read the room a little bit and to make some changes here. So, funny enough, I do think this makes Phil Spencer and some of the other ones look a little bad. But just to start off, they've rebranded with their logo. They decided to switch this to what looks to be an upgraded logo from their original some Xbox 360 logos, which is back when people say Xbox was more at its peak. So they kind of put their logo back to look similar to that. People were showing some side by sides. I don't know how much credit I can give to Asha Sharma on this. I think there's got to be more of an Xbox thing, because I don't feel like she would have known that unless she was in some meeting where somebody was showing all this stuff to her. But yeah, they switched the logo. We kind of already talked about this part. So they did quietly get rid of the whole Play Anywhere campaign. Everything is an Xbox campaign. They kind of got rid of that. We know they've acknowledged or announced that there is going to be a new system that they're calling right now Project Helix. That's some of the little thing. There has been her initial thing that she was saying, which is the return to Xbox and the exclusivity thing that might come around with that. Still not too many confirmations on that yet. But there was something that people noticed, which was a show that I think was on under IGN that was called ID at Xbox, presented by IGN. What was noticed was that was one of the first shows where Xbox had removed the PlayStation and Nintendo logos from the bottom of their games that they were showing. All the way up until that point, they weren't doing that. They were showing Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo for their releases and stuff, which was connected to that Play Anywhere thing. So they stopped doing that. They, at one point, was known as just simply Microsoft Gaming. And I think even Phil Spencer had that within his, like in his title or something, like CEO or head of Microsoft Gaming or something like that. Well, that has been now changed to being Xbox Gaming again. And so it's a part of the Return to Xbox campaign, which I think is a lot of people who was asking for these things. So those are some of the cool stuff, right? The cool little things here and there. And then that led up to a big thing, either last week or the week before, where they made a big change that gets everybody's attention, which is slashing the prices of Game Pass in every category. And so Ultimate being the main one, at one point that one was the $30 one. That is now $22.99. I don't know what the rest of them were before, but I did write down what they are now. So the premium edition is $14.99. I believe that was on the console side, and then the essential one I think is also a console one, where it's mainly just online and only a handful of games. That one is now $9.99, and these are all monthly. And the one that I'm excited about actually is the PC one, which is $13.99, which gives you most of what you get on Ultimate already, but just for PC. And I actually feel like that works for me, period, because I can't even go into a Burger King and order what I want to order, and it ends up being $13.99 or something. It ends up being more usually when I go in there. So that is a real life thing that she did. She went in here and sliced these prices on Game Pass, which for some people you can argue this is their biggest moneymaker at the moment. And they mentioned that they're going to introduce a tier at some point where it's going to be a customizable tier where you pick the features that you want and they'll tally up a price for you. So if you don't want EA Play, which is a part of Ultimate, I think Ubisoft stuff is in there as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you don't want those pieces in your Ultimate, or if you're someone who only wants to focus on the exclusives under Xbox, you don't care about just a slew of third party going in there or something, at some point it sounds like you're going to be able to customize and find the fit for you for what you want, and they'll price it based on what you select. This is all things that are coming from her, which I think is very user friendly, very, very innovative. And yeah, it looks like they're understanding and reading the room. It took us grabbing, I don't want to say a nobody, that's disrespectful. Grabbing somebody from the outside in and plucking her and pulling her into gaming, if to figure this out, because for whatever reason nobody could understand this entire time, and now they're starting to put a focus back on their brand and call it what it is, and not have everything be everything and stuff. It's just it is an Xbox, and here's what we offer. And I think they're doing a fantastic job so far. And one thing I do like to say, and I'll let you speak, they're not making this a really long-winded thing. I don't know how long she's been there, but they've made these changes relatively fast. Usually when companies call themselves saying we're going to do something, they like to really just dance around it, and you don't hear back from them from a really long time. They're playing it safe. They're really, not making really hard decisions right then and there. But they made this decision, and then we get a news or something that came out that like their revenue was down like by 30% or something at one point. I was like, well, it kind of makes sense. It's right in their dark period of time, right before the summertime when they usually shine, and you cut the price on the thing that makes them the most money right now, which is Game Pass. So it kind of made sense to me. But a lot of people was taking that negatively. But I think they're setting themselves up to really, really basically take off in the correct direction, the right direction going forward. And I think it's only going up from here, in my opinion. What do you think?
It's nice to see positive stuff happening out of it, because I was still skeptical about them pulling in an AI person in. So hopefully it keeps up with like everything being so good. Yeah, they need something that's like working for them. So it's nice to see. Maybe they did need an outside perspective to see what would work for some reason, because all their insiders didn't know what was going on. So, and also, hearing lower prices, I'm always a fan of that, because I don't think gaming should be a premium hobby for only the rich. So hearing that like prices are going down for stuff, I am always supportive of.
Well, I know it's down for this particular feature, which is a software feature, but I fully expect Project Helix, along with all the systems, to be right there in that 900 to 1,200. Yeah, I expect them all to
we'll see how that goes.
there.
But again, just saying, here's this thing, we're lowering the price. Like in some ways, to me, it's always good.
I do think the correct move, or they made the correct move when it came to Call of Duty. Hearing Call of Duty influence such an increase on Game Pass's price really lets me know how disconnected a lot of suit and tie people are at the top, because it's like, how does somebody even expect somebody who is a long-term Call of Duty player to all of a sudden decide I'm going to rent the game in a service versus just buying it when I've been buying it every year since 2 generations probably.
Yeah.
There was someone who called himself trying to console war with me in a DM in a group chat. And I had to like fry him real quick, because he was trying to say like, oh, Game Pass is about to be basically worthless because Call of Duty's not going to be in it anymore. And I'm like, sir, like, Call of Duty is not a Game Pass title to begin with. Call of Duty is a one and done only title. Like, for some people, like, they only play that and nothing else. Like, he was trying to tell me like, oh, it's gonna be so expensive just to buy a Call of Duty, like you're gonna have to get another job and stuff. I'm like, dude, shut up. Like, like, people literally, like, if they play Call of Duty and only that, they literally bought a $600, like $500 to $600 system just to play one game. It's like, ain't nobody trying to buy or need another. Maybe somebody might need another job with today's prices, but for some of them, they were used to doing that. They would buy in $500 for a system, play Call of Duty for 60 or 70, and then buy the next Call of Duty the next year. And that was their only thing. Making the move to make Call of Duty go into Game Pass 1 year later is a smart move, because the people who are playing Call of Duty are playing that first, and then the people who are in Game Pass are in Game Pass for all the other titles, and they're there for Call of Duty second. So like for me, for example, like when I was playing like the last Call of Duty I played that went in there was brand new, I played the campaign and then I got all the footage and I was done with it. I wasn't really sitting there trying to just play a bunch of randos online and do that whole thing. I was playing another game as my main game. It might have actually been this game, Clair Obscur, because I think all of that was around the same time. And if you are a Call of Duty player, then you're playing shooters mainly. And these are titles that you probably buy. and you get all of the skins and DLCs and all of that. But if you're in Game Pass first, getting this game a year later is not a bad thing. I mean, you blink and a year go by. We blinked and 5 months went by, right? So it's not like they're really just waiting for it. So that is actually a good move. It's crazy to me to think that that would cost that much more for one title. Yes, they spent whatever it was, $70 billion for the thing, but you can't really just take that out on the paying customer. It's not your fault that they decided to acquire a gigantic company like that. But taking it out for 1 year is a smarter idea. I honestly think that it wasn't going to move the needle at all when it comes to Game Pass or Call of Duty revenue, because people who are playing Call of Duty, like I've been saying, they want to buy it regardless. Just like in the last couple of years, I'm sure they still bought it. I don't think anybody just said, oh, I guess I'll just play it in Game Pass if that was the only game they was going to play. And you were charging them $30. That doesn't, it don't even add up. So I'm like, who are these suit and tie people? Because it can't be just Phil Spencer and Sarah Bonner. Like, there's a few more people there that probably do still need to be fired. Because Chat GPT got more sense than them. Whatever the other one is called, Grok and Gemini, they all got more sense than these real people. Because this don't make no sense to even think that Call of Duty was going to save, or is what was needed, like for a Game Pass. These are two completely different playing fields. But yeah, they're moving on. That is all I need them to do. And yes, I guess whatever is up next, the June show, they haven't announced it yet. Oh yes, they did. I think it's going to also feature Gears E-Day, right? That game. So that's a
Yours.
big title. You said what?
You said it's gonna fit your Gears E-Day. Who's your? Hey, mine.
Everybody's E-Day. Gears E-Day is the main event of their June show, if I'm not mistaken. It'll be interesting to see this show, because I do expect them to put more emphasis on things being day one in Game Pass and things being on the Xbox show. But I don't think they're going to mention anything about PlayStation or Nintendo, and that's exactly what they need to do, because they need to actually have a brand. Be a brand, for crying out loud. That was so ridiculous, whatever they was doing for the last 5 or 6 years. Yes, AI got more sense than some of these human beings. I don't care. It does. It made more sense. All right. I think that's it. I don't got too much else. We just got to see what happens next. I don't got nothing else to really say about Xbox, really. Any more last words on this topic?
Nope.
All right. Okay. Then we'll finish up some of the stuff we missed. All right. There were two main shows. There was one called the Galaxies Spring Showcase that was actually in the middle of April. And then the Second Wind's Games Showcase, Spring 2026 edition, which was actually towards the end of April. Did you see either one of these shows?
Yeah, I saw them.
You saw them. All right. Galaxy Spring Showcase. This one.
Were you prepared for me to say nah?
I told you to watch this Latin show this morning. I don't know if you watched this Latin show.
I did.
You watched the Latin show. All right, good job. I applaud you. It was only about 30 minutes.
That's why. If it was more than 30, I was going to say no.
All right. Well, let's focus on the first one. Galaxy Springs Showcase. The Galaxy Springs Showcase, I believe the main part of this show was about an hour. It wasn't actually that long. It was just like a long countdown for whatever reason. They had one regular host on here, and they did mention towards the end of this show that they will have another show in October, so we'll look out for that in October. But I had a handful of titles that I wrote down. There were a lot of repeats that I've seen from before. I didn't write any of those down. Some of the stuff I've already had wish listed. For me, I focused on what I haven't seen before. And so the first thing that I actually wrote down was called Second Stone, The Legend of the Hidden World. This one is more of a third person action adventure. You play with a character that, for me, kind of Marth or Roy on the Nintendo platform from, I can't think of the name now. It's not Final Fantasy. What is the name of it? What's that franchise on Nintendo?
What's it called? Try
I
not to
can't.
have to look it up.
You suddenly got like 50 times louder. But
Oh, oh shoot, I don't remember. Hold on.
but y'all know what I'm talking about. They in Super Smash Brothers too. I can't really
Oh,
think
Fire
of
Emblem.
Fire Emblem. No, yeah. So well, this game it just reminded me of that. He has some sword play, some arrows and stuff, and just some cool 3D action. But that's what it reminded me of. But that was one of the first games I wrote down. I only got like a few of them here. But what else? What do you got?
So, because a lot of it was repeats,
Mm,
I actually only have, I think, one
all right.
game, maybe two, because I don't remember if I mentioned one of them before.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but the one I have was way into the show,
Mm-hmm.
called it was Mojo Party. So you know Mojo like
Yeah,
.com,
you
like the
picked the
Mojo list.
cringe thing. Oh my
Yeah, it
god.
wasn't. I didn't really care too much about the trailer ish because that was weird. But I like trivia and I like trivia games. I go to Trivia Weekly and I play trivia games with other friends. So it was another trivia game where you get to pick categories and things like that. And I'm always down for once you play these other trivia games so much, they don't update. They tend to start repeating questions, right? So then it's like, well,
Hmm.
time to stop playing because I've now answered everything. So it's nice to like another one that I can play until I get all the questions out. So that was the reason why it got my attention. Of course, I had your normal whoever Mojo.com person talking over it with their little like, too perfect announcer voice that was like, ugh. But I like trivia games, so that was good for me.
All right, the rest of it, funny enough, because I was more addressing it now. A lot of the release dates was like right now, even though this was technically came out a month ago, so it kind of lined up. But there was a game called Hunt Down Overtime. It's a action roguelike running gun type game. That comes out May 7th. And then I had Fair Ever, which is an action RPG. This one I wrote down was very colorful. It has online co-op. It looked like up to 4 players. That comes out May 6th. And then I had Slash Zero. A game very much up my alley, is very flashy action roguelike.
Wait,
Very
that was in
quick
Galaxies?
action. Yep, yep.
I thought that was in Second Wind.
It might have been in both. It's
Oh, well, I
possibly in
caught
both.
it in Second Wind, so we'll add that to my list too. Slash Zero
Okay.
also looked really good.
All right.
I must have missed it.
There was one game on here that kind of turned me off completely. I don't remember the name.
Mm.
I just remember what they said.
Ooh, what they
Because
say?
I wrote it down. It because almost immediately when it came on, it said you need to level up to get stronger, and it kind of cringed me because that seems to be like the gist of every game, but I think it's a little overdone. Because when you hit a certain level, you want to really feel like you definitively hit a certain level. Where a lot of games is just like, here's like 30 to 100 something experience points that just didn't do anything to you, but you hit a level, but it didn't do nothing. It just kind of cringed me when I saw it and I wrote it down. I was cringed.
Mm.
But that's all I have for the Galaxy Spring Showcase.
So one more
Um,
that I'll mention because I don't remember if it was mentioned before.
yeah,
The Echoes of Ankrid. It was the
yeah.
Sword Art Online game that like doing its own story. It was like one of the last ones that they showed. That one was like the second to last. That one looks very interesting. I just don't remember if I'd seen it in another show or not, but that's on my list.
All right. Um, the uh, the next one. So Second Win Game Showcase. So this is the Spring 2026 edition, apparently. So a lot going on in their name, right? Well, from this, I had a few different titles here. The first thing that actually jumped out to me though, it was a game called Pizza Apocalypse 2,
Yeah.
and it's not a bad game. I actually put it on my list to play, but immediately I noticed there was a lot of assets used from Super Mario Sunshine. And it was probably changed just enough to where they might not get sued. But I'm like, to play with Nintendo like that, I'm like, I don't know. But it was a I don't want to say a rip off of Super Mario, but you could just see the influence for real. But the background, like the areas, was very much the same as one of the opening areas from Sunshine. Like, if somebody was to create a video to really like point it out, like Nintendo might lawyer up. Like, that's the crazy part. I'm like, man, can I buy this real quick before they like take it away or something?
Well, I
But
mean, in fairness, though, this is Pizza Apocalypse 2.
mhm.
So they already did Pizza Apocalypse 1, and we're
Yeah,
fine. So,
I mean, I would almost make it like more of a rip than Power Word. I wouldn't even count Power Word as a rip. But this was like, there was some blatant stuff where I was like, yo, is that the same board? Like, it
uh,
was some blatant stuff. But I am interested in playing it. It is, in the sense of Mario, a 3D, platformer type game. And I'm interested in playing alternatives because it's not all about Mario when it comes to platformers. We can have some other ones, but yeah, that one was definitely just go look at the trailers. Anybody who plays Sunshine, you would notice immediately. But yeah, so that was the first one I had from that. What do you got from this?
so from Second Wind, Voidling Bound
Okay.
was the first one that I wrote. It is, because now I forgot what it was about.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there was one where you're like, it's a roguelike, because these shows both had lots of roguelikes. But it was a
Mm-hmm.
roguelike where you're pretty much getting pieces to create your own monster, like your own little Pokemon, basically, as
Okay.
you're trying to run through to fight bosses. And you just
Okay.
keep getting stronger and stronger and design your own little monster.
Okay. Um, I wrote down Nocturnal 2. This is Metrovania 2D sword slasher. You already know how I am about these. The ones that look really good, I'm just a sucker for them. I just add them to the wish list. This was very flashy. Shout out to the game for having a demo there for anybody to check out right away. Some of these games that I did write down did have demos. That was one of them. And then a game called Ghost Vanguard, also hack and
Yes.
slash, very flashy. I like this one too because they were showing off like epic looking boss fights with it. Still mainly 2D action. This one also has a demo. Did you write this one down? Did you like this one?
I did. I did have that one down as well. For some reason, though, I feel like when it showed the cover art and fully showed the character that you play as for Ghost Vanguard up close, he
Mm-hmm.
looked cooler in the 8-bit. Like, I feel like the cover was like, his face should have been like a shadow or something. But uh yeah, I had that down. I also had this other game, Muntabi,
Okay.
down. It was like a turn-based, basically monster battler. But it looks
Mm-hmm.
like you're also in the middle of it. So like you can get hit as well. Like it seems like it's like you gotta like have your little
I think
monsters
I know
fight,
what
but
you were
also
talking about.
defend you
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. It was more tactical, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty dope. Last one I actually had from this list was a game called The Melting Way. It
Okay.
honestly it looked like the 2D Super Meat Boy game. It looked like it was really, really, I would say, yeah, difficult. Yeah, kind of difficult where you have to be precise with your movement,
Mm.
or you'd probably die and get splattered all over the place. So it's not necessarily something I want to play all the time, but if I have an off day where I'm just chill, I can come up to the challenge for it. So I wrote that one down. The Melting Way, or the Melty Way. It looks very similar to the Meat Boy game.
Okay.
And shout out to them because that the 3D version is still $24.99. And these type of games, especially from the first showcase and this showcase, a lot of these are really good games to play on, the Rogue, the Steam Deck, or the Steam Machine when it comes out. That adds to the identity of the PC. I will play all of these on the PC.
Mhm.
But yeah, anything else from this show?
Yeah, my last game was Prelude Dark Pain. Had an old school comic almost look to it, but it is a grid based, like a grid turn based game where you're like it looks like it's like kind of post apocalyptic, and you're some like blacksmith fighting off
Mm-hmm.
like I think zombies or monsters or whatever, but you have to like go through and gather your team for like turn based action. There's a bunch of people that you can team up with. So that one looked cool. It's right in my type of game.
Okay. Yeah, and that was all I have for this particular show. I will say, in this show, it was a lot of dev commentary, and almost to the point
Yeah,
took over the show. I didn't care too much for it, but
I will
yeah,
say I usually ignore it, but I was actually looking at the comments during this one and the Galaxies game, and I will say the second wind one, the like the people in the chat were way more receptive and way more nice than the Galaxies one.
yeah, the Galaxy
Like
one. At
this
one
one,
point,
they
they
were
were
like,
just. I was just gonna say they was really throwing those tomatoes in that comment
yes,
section a
non-stop
lot.
tomatoes. It
I
looks
was
like
seeing a
trash,
lot.
trash, tomatoes. Why is this like boo? But then it was weird because it was indie games and somebody was like Bloodborne 2, and I was like, that's not gonna get announced here. But
No.
yeah, they were just like boo, boring. What is this? And then like compare while the other one, it was just like, oh, I'm interested in this, like just out of nowhere. So yeah, it was definitely a different type of crowd for each one.
All right, did you get a bunch of stuff under the Latin one?
I got some stuff. Yeah.
All right, I gotta use the bathroom real quick. Can you just start on that and I'll come right back with it.
Okay. So, of course, I didn't want to still do the repeats. So, like, Soul Quest and Mariachi Legends was on there. But in terms of the new games, one's called Rogue Rollers. Rogue Rollers was like a pinball sort of game, and I like pinball, but it like had a whole story with it, and you're like pinballing the like different fighters to go through, and fight enemies from wherever they're stationed. So it was a nice twist on the classic pinball. There was one called Hyper Yuki. Uh, and now I don't remember what that was about. Oh, it's a snowboarding game. So Hyper Yuki, uh, this cool snowboarding type game. It was weird because some of the descriptions in it was like described as if you've never played a snowboarder or like skateboarding game, because it'll say um like chain tricks to get higher points, and it was like duh. But no, it just seems like it was a cool, like, you have a path from point A to point B as you're going down with like ramps and things like that, and you just got to pull off a bunch of tricks and everything until you get to the end of it. And then the other one, which I think the title of it is crazy, but it was like Ghetto Zombies Graffiti Squad, uh, where it was just a whole group. There was like, it seems like a team that was just like shooting up zombies with almost like spray paint, like paint guns, and it was like the top down, run around and shoot, which is normally not my style of game. Um, for it, where it's just a horde shooter in like circles, but it seemed pretty interesting. And then in your downtime, you're like spray painting stuff, and it looks like a team based game. That one also looked pretty fun to play. So I'll probably be checking that one out as well. Yeah, I don't think he's back yet. So yeah, I guess I can also talk about I don't know, the shows, I guess also in terms of length. This one was the shortest, of course, the Latin American Showcase, which was 30 minutes, and I think perfect to give every game like a highlight and really get through them. I think the Galaxies one was about an hour, which again is fine when you're showing off a bunch of games, and they had a bunch of like world premieres and everything. I thought the second wave one or win one was way too long. Like it was just basically just 2 hours straight of just nonstop trailers, and it was just some of them start to like just blend into the next one. And it was just like leagues of just like, I don't care about this, I don't care about this, I don't care about this. I feel like if the show is too long, then within like 10 seconds is not your style of game, you're so quick to ignore it. Um, where when it's shorter, you can really pay attention to kind of what's going on, which again is why like even the zombie game is not like my style of game. It actually does look interesting and something that I'd be willing to try out.
All
You back
right.
yet?
Yeah,
All
I
right.
am. I am back. I did hear some of the stuff because I still had the headset on.
Okay.
Um, the snowboarding game looked cool. I didn't write it down. And yeah, some of the game shows was, well, at least the second win was a little long, but it was. I think what really did it was some of those dev commentaries that they can just cut that out. I think
Yeah.
dev commentary stuff deserves its own separate video. When it comes to YouTube, content is content, right? So I think they should really hone in on what the people really want to see here, and then if they go to another show for commentary, then the people who really want to see it will go to that one. But it's almost like you're holding the main audience hostage a little bit when they're there for the games. Now on this show, the Latin Game Showcase, I really only wrote down one thing. It was called Quantum Quartz. It was a
Okay.
2D platformer. In the description on Steam, it also said difficult. Similar to the other game that I was mentioning from before on the other show, it is more of a precise jump type game, almost similar to Celeste. But yeah, you just have to be precise with your platforming. It's not something that's really ideal for what I want, but I'll play the challenge every now and then, just like the melting way, right? Or the melty way. But that was all I have from that one. That one came out of nowhere. Usually with the Latin Game Showcase, they usually do a cool hour and a half, just like some of the other ones. But they did make this one 30 minutes. I do remember the host by face. I don't remember her name, so I'm gonna try to make sure I remember her name the next time around, because I do think this show is going to return with some of the other shows when we get to June, when they do like 1,000 E3-ish shows. And so I want to give her props too. But that is really the show. I don't have too much else. It was a combination of the last three, but I think we still did an average hour and a half, which we normally do. The footage on the screen will probably be featured next week because it's at the beginning. But any last words or anything of
Mm-mm.
concern? Nothing. You good?
Nah. Yep.
So that's really it. Like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.